I taught Ruben Amorim about coaching. This is why he will be a success at Manchester United. Ruben Amorim started as Man United head coach this week, but he has spent time at Carrington before, and his former university lecturer has told the men about the secrets of his philosophy. Ruben Amorim was sitting around a table in the Carrington canteen in late April 2018, chatting to former Benfica teammates Victor Lindelof and Nemanja Matic, when Matic fixed his gaze upon the 33-year-old student and told him his path was already clear. "Yeah, of course you will be doing your coach education," Matic told Amorim, who was sitting with two other students from his course in Lisbon and Professor Antonio Veloso, who had designed the course with Jose Mourinho. "Everybody knows that you will be a very good coach because you know your analysis," Matic continued. The Serbian's prediction had already been borne out before the turn of events that took Amorim back to that canteen in the training ground this week as Manchester United's new head coach. That week, 6 years ago, Amorim found himself at Carrington as part of his studies for a master's degree in high-performance football coach at the University of Lisbon. The course was designed by Veloso and Mourinho, who had studied sports science together at the university in the 1980s. In the mid-2010s, they were back in contact, and Veloso proposed a course based on Mourinho's academic and professional experience, one aimed at bridging the gap between the traditional coaching programs and the demands of senior coaching positions in the game. Veloso travelled to Mourinho's home in London during his second stint as Chelsea manager to put the finishing touches to the programme, which was based on what Mourinho felt he was missing when he started his own coaching career. Then, in the second intake of students in 2017, came the pupil who is their star alumni. Amorim was 32 when he started on the course and already thinking of his next steps in the game as he battled a serious injury. He was referred to Veloso by Felipe Shelikaya, who was recently coach of Sporting B, and he was interviewed before being accepted for a place on the course. Since the interview, it was clear to me that he was really committed, that he really wanted to go for a management position, Veloso told the Manchester Evening News. What was clear from scratch is that he had strong leadership, but with empathy. He was not imposing, despite having a very strong experience as a former international. He was very friendly and very down-to-earth with all his colleagues, but everybody was always looking for his opinion. Our programme runs from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., but usually at 8 p.m. we are still in the room discussing and sharing opinions and participating. Ruben always had strong opinions, but being able to listen to other people's opinions and learn and incorporate different ideas from the students. He is really passionate about football, and the thing that he always said that he likes the most is to see games and to analyse games. He said, "When I have time, what I do for fun is to see a Premier League game and analyse the different options and how the different coaches approach the game and so on." That bit is no longer fun for Amorim, but is now his job. As Matic's comment made clear, he already had a good understanding of the game, and Veloso said he arrived on the course with a high level of information on the tactical side of the game. But the programme is about so much more than tactics. Amorim felt he gained a lot from the discussions around sports science and how to break down the numbers that came back from that field. He also embraced the modules that dealt with communication, which is an area he excels in now. "I'm very interested in the aspects of non-verbal communication, how to deal with the journalists," said Veloso. "We have special sessions where they faced different situations in role-play, even with journalists that we asked to participate. And on the psychology side, how to deal with complex situations. We selected a number of cases, and each student was needed to mimic a press conference or a short conference immediately after the game, where a situation occurred like you have a player that did this in social media and said that he didn't like something, and a journalist asked you, how do you answer that? They need to have a solution immediately." The course went well beyond such routine press conference scenarios. There were sessions on how to communicate with owners, the difference between an American ownership group and an oligarch, and how to deal with each situation. Then there were practical aspects of preparing to present your project to a sporting director, something Amorim might have found useful during his talks about the job at Old Trafford. The idea around the program is to have the head coach in the center, and then to allow him to know sufficient information to be able to talk with. All the support staff that they have, said Veloso, and also with the owners or sports director to talk above them and to talk below them, to know how to manage your staff and things like what management is, what leadership is, how leadership and management are not the same thing, and the difference between having a follower or having an employee. They are basic knowledge about management and leadership that you learn in leadership programs, but they are not usually part of the coach education. Part of the education was for 3 of the year's outstanding students to spend a week with Mourinho and his staff as part of an internship. In 2017/18, Amorim was selected alongside Jeff Labine and Mohamed Bubshait. They attended every training session during the week as United prepared for a game against Arsenal. They arrived early at Carrington for breakfast, stayed late, and discussed what they had learnt. Amorim was particularly impressed by the simplicity of Mourinho's sessions and how there was a clear goal to all of them, building up to those things then being repeated in the weekend's fixture, which United won 2-1. We were at Carrington at breakfast time for activities before the training session, so the warming up or the specific training that each player does as an injury prevention and so on, said Veloso. Then follow them to the pitch, seeing all the training session, talking with Jose was friendly and coming up, explaining the different structures of the training session and different purposes of the different exercises and so on. Amorim now performs a similar function to Mourinho. At Sporting, he has returned to the university to speak to students, and for the last couple of years he has invited some from the course in to see his methods and how he prepares for the game. Veloso has been impressed, and his analysis of Amorim's methods is fascinating ahead of his first week on the training pitches at Carrington. He conducted the session, and then we had lunch with them, and then in the afternoon, we had a full theoretical approach where he explained how he does the opposition analysis, how he prepares for a game, the type of information he gives to the players, first the defensive organisation, then the attacking organisation, the individual information he gives to all the players. He was absolutely open about preparing his game, he said. He showed us how he developed his own principles of the game from the micro level, and how that common ground on specific principles of the game allows him to be very flexible on the structure of the game he organises. I remember, in some of the sessions, we were running a video of a game that he was analysing, and he stopped the video and asked the students, "What type of formation do I have? Is it 3-4-3, or is it 5-2-3? What type of formation is my team at this moment? I can be in one formation, but if the situation changes a little bit, we organise in a different way." The flexibility of his game model is absolutely fantastic. It's interesting because it's based on a set of game principles and principal behaviours. Let's say the players know a certain number of automatic behaviours they ask them to have in the different parts of the field. If you are attacking, how do you do it? If you attack on the other flank, how do the team organise themselves? So they are very simple structures, but they are very well understood by the players. So each player knows very well what he has to do. Veloso is as well placed as anyone to predict whether Amorim will succeed at Old Trafford, having helped to teach him much of what he now puts into practice as a head coach. His assistant, Carlos Fernandes, also attended the University of Lisbon course, while sports scientist Paulo Barreira has a PhD from John Moores University in Liverpool. Veloso insists that recruitment at the club must improve under Ineos to give Amorim a chance, but that his personality could be the biggest weapon. In Casapia, in Braga and Sporting, one main characteristic is to be able to conquer the players. He has a bond with the players, a very good bond with the players, he said. When we repeat that in different levels, in different clubs, it's a characteristic that you have. He's very funny, he has good humour, he always has a smile, he always has a small joke or a funny thing to say. You can have a lot of top coaches that are good at jokes, or they use a lot of jokes, but the joke comes from a superior position. Ruben is a little bit the other way around. It's a friendly joke or a joke against himself. He never puts himself in a superior position. So the link with the players is usually quite good. The link with the technical staff is amazing. The robustness of their link is fantastic. He has a very young technical staff, so all of them are quite young. If he's able to establish the type of empathy with the players and with the crowd, with the fans, you see everybody applauding him in the last game, you don't have a sporting fan saying bad things about him in this situation, and he has the emotional intelligence to be able to do that, then it could be a very good opportunity.